Auctioneering is one of the activities in the economy that help in the trade and exchange of goods. But it is one area that not many of us are familiar with, nor are we willing to explore. It assists in disposing goods that we no longer need, as well as raising cash for ourselves cheaply and the easy way. Mr. Tirhani Mabunda is one of the few individuals who have studied the mechanics of auctioneering and who rose to become a leading figure in this sector. Today, he owns his own company, Tirhani Group, which owns several other entities. And he joins me tonight to talk about his journey as a businessman and leader. Tirhani, pleasure to have you with us.
Thanks, same here.
I appreciate
to your viewers as well, thanks.
You know, one thing that influenced me, informed me, and made me to invite you to be the guest on the show is the energy that the ooze and the enthusiasm with which you do your auctioneering work. But the journey itself, where did it start and how did you get to be at the top of your game? Because you ended up being chairman of the Institute of Auctioneers in South Africa.
I think it's all about the hunger to learn. I believe that in anything that one does, you have to do it to the best of your ability. If you're not passionate about anything, don't even do it, because you won't have the staying power. Yeah. You have to be passionate about the things you do. And auctioning is one of those things that I stumbled onto accidentally. And I've enjoyed it, but apart from that, it's an area where, as you said in your intro, there are very few people, particularly black people, who are involved in auctioneering, particularly the auctioning itself. I speak to you now, I did 154 lots today for APSA, who were selling repossessed cars. And people are getting good value for money. And yes, most of our people don't know about that.
But you see, I'm interested in what drew you into that kind of thing. I accept the passion.
Yeah.
But with respect, Tirhani.
Yeah.
Coming from Tiani.
Yeah.
Auctioneering is the stuff that people look at and say it's stuff that happens in Hyde Park or Waterkloof or anywhere where wealthy people live or those who've got cash to buy goods are. You see, it's not for you and I, so to speak. So what sensitized you to the opportunities that existed in this sector?
Well, as I said, I stumbled onto it. Yeah. I have an academic background. I used to do strategy management, consulting. And I consulted for one client who wanted the 10-key solution. They wanted to understand whether the machines that they had, I'm talking about caterpillars and graders and all that, they wanted to understand if the fleet they had was still suitable for their purposes, because after '94, 3 governments had merged and they each had fleets. So I was given that task, and it was a 2-year task to do as a consultant. And they said at the end of the project, if some of the machines are obsolete or redundant, I should also be in charge of selling it because it's 10-key. But I was not an auctioneer then. This is 2000. And I engaged OCO, one of the leading auction companies in the country then, and even now, I think. And I engaged them to do the disposal at the end of the project. I did my project for 18 months, and they came on the 19th month to sell. The auctioneer only came, I think, on the day of the auction, yes, and he did his thing for 2 hours.
Yes.
He earned more than I earned in 18 months. In the 2 hours that he was there.
And you looked at the whole thing. I put 18 hours work. A man
for
pitches
18
up
months.
For 18 months.
Yeah, the guy came for 2 hours.
And he makes more money than you.
He made more money. But that was not what captured my attention. It's the way he did it. So I then said to him, in future, with some of my other clients, if I have similar projects, I'll invite you. And I said, better still, I'll market for auctions. And I started marketing for auctions. And I got a 3-year contract with Gauteng. But by the 3rd auction, Gauteng government in 2001, they said, but, we gave you the job and we see it's other people who come to do the actual auction. So you're fronting. So I went to OCO and I said, hey, they say I'm fronting. Can I buy into your company? Or they said, no, we're not selling. So I said, okay, from next auction, I'm doing it. And I tell you, it was tough in the beginning because I would trip myself up, and when you have 150 lots or 200 lots to do and that skill is not there yet. But today, as I said, I had 154 lots. Before I started that auction, I told them that by 1 o'clock, we're done. And I'd estimated it because 154 lots, I was estimating at a minute per car. But I would sell some of the cars at 30 seconds. So I opened my mouth, before I breathe, it's sold, yeah. So anything is possible.
So it grew from that, and then you ended up being the chairman.
Yes.
Of the institute.
As I said to you, with my academic background, once I was in, I had this desire to learn properly. Hence, it took me to America, where I did so many courses in auctioneering. If you look at my CV, there must be about 5 qualifications. One of them is a 3-year, call it the equivalent of a master's degree at University of Indiana, in Indianapolis in America, where we studied auctions in depth. So
now, all of these activities led to the establishment of the Tirhani Group.
No, the Tirhani Group was there. It was established in 2001.
Yes.
But the auctions was added
it's added, but then it gave you more capital, more financial muscle, I would like to believe, to expand.
Of course, and also my exposure, because you see, the companies in my group share the same logo, but if you look in the newspapers, almost every week, we're advertising auctions. So people get to know, Tirhani Auctioneers, and when they meet Tirhani Construction, and the logo is the same.
So how many companies now are within the group?
I think there's about 15, and 12 of those are very active in their different
and you employ
sectors.
How many people?
It could be over 1,000, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And do you find time to run auctions yourself, run the 12-plus companies? And also, I know you are involved in community work, all over the place.
Yes, Tirhani Foundation, yeah.
As well as taking in youngsters and mentoring them.
Yes.
Tell me a bit more about that community work.
My official position in the group is executive chairperson. So, and my model team is one that says, in anything that I establish, the person who is the operator, I have MDs, sometimes even CEOs, because there are groups within the group. The people who operate in the company have a stake in it, because you can't expect people to babysit your own companies. They have to be part of it. So we have, what you call sweat capital. So when I start something, like we started a school, I went for one of the guys around the Tiani area who was producing the best results as a headmaster for years. He's now executive director at the school, and he's running it. So, like yesterday, I was there in Tiani at a meeting, but it's just a board meeting. So board meetings happen 4 times a year.
Yes.
But obviously, in between, I interface with them.
But I want to talk about you, because I want to use you as a case study, if you don't mind. It's one thing to do stuff, but it's very hard when you're looking at a human being do something to understand what is it that makes them achieve the goals that they achieve and keeps them going. You drive to Tiani, you come back, you go to an auction today, you're going somewhere. Just tell me briefly what drives you.
I think I will touch on, I didn't understand myself also as well, but the day I understood myself was maybe 10 years ago, when I read a book. I don't know how I stumbled onto it. It's called Discover Your Strength by Marcus Buckingham. And there's a test in the book where when you write the test, it's an hour online, you get to understand what your strengths are or what your talents are, God-given. So it gives you 5 talents, and I discovered mine there. And my 5 are, number 1 was idealist. Idealist is someone who can't help it, but they just have to think about new things.
Yes.
Fortunately, my second strength or talent is strategic.
Yeah.
So I'm able to organize these ideas into, that's why I've formed more than 60 companies in my life. And the third one is achiever. Achiever means you're hardworking.
Yeah.
If you read in that book what achiever is, it's, I can't help it but work.
Yes.
And
results driven.
Yes.
And
so
the other one?
The other one is relator. Relator is the opposite of what is called this woo. Woo is when a person, they want to befriend as many people as they can. When they go to a conference,
Yes.
they say, I must get 100 new friends.
Yes.
But me, I'm the opposite.
Yes.
I create relationships with a few people, but I cultivate those relationships deep.
And the other one?
The last one is self-confidence.
Sure. And it's a mix of those things.
A mix of those things define who I am. Because in the past, I would just be starting things and I wouldn't understand.
But what's the fuel behind it, you see? Because
You see, we're wired differently as people. And one of the lines in that book, you know what it says? It's not that every one of us in life do not have talents. The problem is we never discover what our talents are. If people were to discover what their talents are, they would excel in life. Because if you do the things you love, if you do the things that you were made for by God, you're bound to succeed and excel. Because you're not doing something that you're forcing yourself.
Sure.
You're just being yourself.
Well, that's Tirhani Mabunda, being himself and running his own companies, being involved in a lot of public work, and I appreciate your time. And of course, we still are going to hear from you.
Yeah, definitely.
Most definitely.
Yes, there are so many stories to tell.
Many stories to tell. And I'm talking to him, he's telling me more stories, so he will be back here telling us many more stories. And one of the leaders that we should pay attention to, and I appreciate you.